Am I live? It's hard to know. StreamYard tells you you're live, and then you go watch it after the fact like I do, and it turns out my first 5 words are cut off. So this is why I'm rambling at the moment. Welcome. It has been a long time since I have done a live review. I've fully recovered from December's Advent calendar, 24 beers in 24 days. We're done with dry January. I bought way too much alcohol or low alcohol beer because half my fridge back there is still full. However, I did get a whole load of stuff sent to me through a variety of people. People had good deals in January, I think, because of the dry January thing. And it was awesome. There was a lot of discount beer you could get relatively easily. I got a great deal from BB&O, Beer Brew by Numbers, which they did a really terrible job of sending out, but eventually made up for. So I've got a ton of that. I got some Cloudwater in. I got some Wild Card, and Wild Card is what we're going to do tonight. My name is Steve Giguere, and welcome to Beer Native. All right, let's get down to business. Is anybody watching? I'm going to check the chat. Mersey Bears is back. A constant like pi or other Planck's constant. There we go. I could give mathematical ones. I need better constants. But yes, a beer constant called Mersey Bears is watching to whisper in my ear about wonderful things about the beer industry. And tonight I'm going to be looking at Wild Card Brewing. Let's bring them up and take a quick look. There's a small version of it. Let's go big. Boom. Less me, more beer. So Wild Card, if there's one thing the Advent calendar in December taught me, it's that there's a lot of breweries out there, ever growing. 2014 to 20, well, let's just include 2010. 2010 to now has been transcendent for the United Kingdom in terms of microbrewery and craft beer. So it's amazing. And actually, there we go. Right there on the front, you can actually see Wild Card Brewery. Well, we don't need to know the definition of wild. Got to turn off my double click. 2012. Not bad at all. That's older than some craft breweries, but certainly within the category of amazing beer. And I really like their art. You can see they've got this sort of deck of cards feel to it. I was pretty amazed when I looked at their shop that you could buy a deck of cards. Let's see if I can click through on the shop. Is it going to show me under gifts or specials? This made me. This seemed awesomely appropriate. Look at this. They're selling it. You can buy a Wild Card Brewery playing card deck. I almost bought it. I almost bought their Teku glass as well because you can't seem to get them since lockdown. Sold out. There you go. And yeah, so let's take a look at the beer we're going to do today. There it is. So we're going to buy. What's it cost? If I say 12. Okay. Well, it's not cheap. Let's just say that. It's the Citadel Double IPA at 8.2%. Wow, you get a great look at the art hovering over, so we can do that rather than show it to you. You can see it right there. It's kind of creepy. It's a bit Wicker Man. I don't quite understand it. We can see the description here is a thick, hazy double IPA made with Sabro. Ooh, minty. Idaho 7, which is going to bring us some pink grapefruit and pine. Brew 1, which I heard somebody recently call that as the emulsifier hop. I guess that meant it goes well with everything and somehow is this a magical normalizer as an adjacent hop. Okay, I'll take that. And Mosaic, the standard. So, and if we're talking about big grapefruit, orange peel, and passion fruit flavors, yeah, all right. That sounds like you could have written that description having never tasted it, just based on what we're reading right now. So that's all kind of cool. It isn't cheap. I think the one I got was somewhere in the lines of that. It was £6. I didn't get it direct from Wild Card, although I am tempted by some of their mixed cases that they've got on offer. And what I really liked about these guys, though, and I'm going to jump over here and show you what I mean. It makes them more intriguing and more interesting. If I look at about, now check this out. Roll down. So you might be thinking, oh, this like stock photo of brewery, beautiful thing. And you go through and you look at the different people in the brewery, and I'm gonna say her name wrong, right? There she is there. Would you say Jaga Wise? Jaga? Or you think it's a soft J or a hard J? I don't know. I don't know. Let's just go with Jaga Wise. And they seem to be relatively raised around Nottingham because we have Nottingham City, we have Mansfield Brewery, and we have I'm guessing they met in that area and opened up a brewery. But what intrigued me was obviously she is this person here, so that's not a stock photo. But let's just take a look. This is their head brewer, a degree in engineering, degree in chemical engineering, right? Worked for GE. She's also a television presenter on Channel 5's The Wine Show. She is going to be live tomorrow night on a live Instagram show. And if you look here, she spends her time on stage or recording in her studio. Find her stuff here. I've already done that. And I went here. Yeah. Is there anything she cannot do? Engineering, TV presenting, head brewing at an awesome brewery, and musician. Now I'm going to try something and see if it works. Now give me 2 seconds because you could just, like, I did listen to some of this. And if I flip this over from this to that, and you're gonna lose my voice for 2 seconds while I push this sound at you. If it lets me change it live, but if it doesn't, cool. All right, check this. I can't. I hope that worked. I hope that worked because if it didn't work, it's going to be really a bit of silence. But if it did work and you heard that, she's really good. And that's a bluesy one. There's an R&B one up there. And Mersey Beers, of course, is telling me more about her, involved in promoting women in beer. But there's a couple of women in beer societies. You think Pink Boots Society. And there's another one up here where we are called Brewsters, which is women in brewing as well in the Nottingham area. So it could be that. But generally, outstanding achievements all around. So this will be the first wild card beer. Let's see how good she is at brewing, right? Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention, I'm going to go back to the standard view, partly thanks to Mersey Beers, of course, is that I now have 100 subscribers on my channel. So thank you, everyone who watches now and in the future. That rocks. I was stuck at 90 for ages. And then suddenly, I don't know what happened, but I've got a few more people. So big shout out to everybody who's supported me along the way. That is awesome. And when I say supported me along the way, I would also like to give credit to Anthony at Life is Brutiful, who did this crazy thing. Check down there. Look at that. Discussing the untapped potential of craft beer. There's an interview with me for if you can handle 30 minutes of me talking. Check it out on his channel. He's got 1,000 subscribers. Maybe that's why. All right, very cool. And the reason he's talking about Untapped is because I have this mad plan of using all the reviews I do using the Untapped API, pumping that into my website, and it's still in the making. But it's going to be very cool. Stats-based reviews and predictive AI. It's going to be really wild when I get it working. All right, let's try beer. Here's the glass. This is a Siren glass. I really like that one. This has not been in here that long, but long enough. There we go. That's the creepy art from the front. Additional information on the back. I probably didn't mention it was 8.2% because it's a double IPA. Not a lot of additional information. Probably one of the more boring cans because their cans really have usually card-like art. So, yeah, you know. And to answer the question in the chat, will I be able to edit the location? Yes, already been accounted for. The system I use currently, before I had access to the Untapped API, was, pardon me, looking up the brewery using the Google API, which brings me a very accurate geolocation and address. Now, will I be able to change it in Untapped? Probably not, but it will be working on my system. So let's take a look. Chug some of that into that glass. Now, this is another, for you kids at home who maybe aren't as experienced with beer. Always be careful and mindful when pouring an 8.2 double IPA into your glass and then drinking it too quickly, because it can affect brain function if you've not had a big meal beforehand. So I'll try a little bit of this, and then I'll have to run in the house and actually make some dinner so I can even finish the thing. The first thing I got was passion fruit, which is, given grapefruit was top of the list. You might say subtle difference in smell, but I think because I had a passion fruit heavy sour recently, it's really on my brain, but it's really good. And the bubbles are protecting it. So let's have a sip. First little one, just to pave the way, get the cobwebs out. It's got a wonderful finish. Super smooth mouthfeel. Wow, did it mention that? What? Oats, hops. Yeah, that's obvious. That's really good. I'm not getting the sharpness that would normally be associated. Normally, I shouldn't say normally, not with beer that I drink, but can be associated with 8.2% beer. It's really mellow. The head's still there, sticking around. It is a little hazy. That's not just the camera. Let's have another one then. It's got a really gentle pininess that kind of goes around, comes back out your nose. Sabro is, I don't know if I would say it's becoming one of my favorite hops. Idaho 7 and Sabro are good, but it's becoming one of the most identifiable. Maybe that's it. But it's there because it feels like there's a bit of a breath mint dropped in there, and that's nice. So the passion fruit, I would even say that for saying it has big grapefruit, it's not as juicy. It's not as juicy as they're saying. Juicy with big grapefruit is the first thing. A bit of zest, a bit of orange peel, certainly passion fruit, a bit of that sort of minty pine. What's the way I described it once before? I think I used parsley as an example once, because that's very unique, isn't it? But there's another spice in there that I need to grab one more sip just to. I think maybe I'm thinking orange peel, but it's going to come to me by the end. But it's really good. That is the conclusion. It's deceptively pleasant and smooth and nice, and it's not overbearing. And it's, to say big grapefruit, there's bigger grapefruit beers for sure. It's gently grapefruit, nicely orange peel, passion fruit up through the nose, along with a bit of pine and a bit of maybe fresh mint from the garden, not like fake mint. Really good. Scoring it up. Hey, and I'd like to introduce you to my, tell me if this is a pain in the butt or annoying. Let's score it.
And he scores an impossible goal.
Or is it possible? I like to have fun with these things. Let's do the art. Now, when I ordered a bunch of these cans, it wasn't just from Wildcard. Wildcard has a couple that have this sort of blueprint on white, and it deviates from their normal. And there's some strange things about it, some detail, and I think it might be worth noting. So the artwork is by a guy named James Hayes, and there's there's an interesting detail on it. I really don't want to. I didn't highlight. I'm going to bring it back up. Oh, I didn't add it to the stream. Check that. You can't see it that well, but these little accents in the corners, like there. What's that? Like the suitcase. The eye. That's an eye, by the way. It doesn't. The angle is kind of a little strange, and then that down there. They're not explained anywhere. So while you might think this artwork is plain, it is anything but. And I'm going to have to look up James Hayes to see like what his artwork looks like generally, because it's interesting and it does fit a certain style. And even though it's sort of plain, I would notice it on a shelf, because although this has been of a trend for white labels recently, I like it. So I'm going to give it a 4 on art and a, well, standard packaging, 3 on packaging, whatever. That's a 7 start. In terms of accuracy, it's not trying to be much more than what it says. It's double IPA with a very hop forward feel, and it totally nails it. So is it unique in its use of hops? I don't necessarily get that combination. So maybe 4 and 4 across both of those, accuracy and uniqueness. I can't realistically mark it down on either of that. So that's an 8. So we're at 15. And I'm probably going to give it a 9, because right now I'm talking to you about this beer and I've just had it, and really I'm more distracted by the fact that I'd like to just end this review and get on with having that beer, because it is super good. And that's gonna send me up into a 24, which is a 4. I think if I wasn't rating other bits of it and I was just going straight up on flavor, obviously I would give it a 9 out of 10. It'd get a 4.5 on Untapped, but you get the idea. So that's where we are. I'm instantly a fan of Wild Card, sort of a fan of Jaeger Wise across the board. So that is, I've been toying with the idea of bringing in people for interviews on this channel. Maybe now that I have the clout of an amazing 100 followers, she might consider coming on the channel. We can talk about music. We can talk about beer. We can talk about chemistry. All right. I'm going to close out with the usual kind of deals. Thank you for watching. I'm Steve Jaguar on Untapped. If you want to know what identity will be hoovering information out of Untapped to try and combine it and create some really interesting insights, please do subscribe to the show. If you want to catch me on Instagram, of course, as well, I'm there as Beer Native TV on Twitter and, of course, Instagram. Please give me the usual thumbs up stuff if you like this, and tell your friends. I've started to, I don't want to say intrude on some Facebook channels that were introduced to me by Mersey Beers, just gently to get the word out, and a little bit on Reddit. If you want to write to me, I need to set up my email address, because I thought I had an email address running the entire time. It turns out it was going nowhere. So another must fix. And this is the end. This has been Wild Card Brewery, the Citadel Double IPA, a delicious, I would say, passion fruity, orangey, somewhat grapefruity, very nice, smooth double IPA, deceptively smooth. And I am done. Thank you once again. My name's Steve Jaguar. Steve out.